everywhere we went. It was unbelievable. One guy even said, "How's your granddaughter doing today?" So that was quite something to get used to, but we didn't pay any attention to it. So anyway, we got married and we lived, in the beginning, we lived in an apartment not far from where we are right now. And I don't know why, but we lived there for a long time. And it was rather foolish. I mean, we were spending that rent money every month, and you were getting nothing in return. I guess we lived there, what, about 15 years. And one day we woke up. We woke up when Kathleen, she said something about we are wasting this money. We ought to be putting it to better use. So she came up to this building here, right here, one day, and there was a place for sale. And it had just what you see. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, kitchen, dining room. And Kathleen said to me on the telephone, I was working at the office, and Kathleen said on the telephone, "I think I found a place. It really looks like we could do something with it." And I said, "Well, how much is it?" And I said, "Well, that sounds reasonable." And I said to her, "If you really like it, buy it." And Kathleen says, "Well, you haven't seen it. Don't you want to see it?" I says, "No, I don't want to see it." And there was 2 other people here looking at this. This is the place we're sitting in. 2 other people were here looking at this place too. They were interested in it. So I said, "Kathleen, don't quibble, buy it." The reason I did that is because previously she had found a beautiful house about 2 miles from here. And we never saw a house like that in our life. It was so magnificent, so clean and perfect. And I said, to the guy, I said, "Well, we'll think it over. I'll call you back tomorrow." So we went home and we kicked it around, and I said, "I think we ought to buy that place." So we go back there the next time, and we tell the guy, "We're going to buy this, but we want to reduce it 25. We want you to reduce it $2,500, and we'll take it." I think he sort of went in the bathroom and laughed, because he said, "You're one day too late. We already sold it, and we got the price we asked. So you weren't giving us any bargain." So ever since that time, I've never hesitated. If you wanted something, and it was a little higher than you thought it ought to be, but it was what you wanted, buy it. Because I regretted not buying that house. So when Kathleen called me on the phone, I said, "Buy it." She said, "You don't have to see it." I said, "No." The lady gets on the phone and says, "Do I understand that you told Kathleen that she could buy this place?" And I said, "That's right." And the sales lady said, "You don't want to see it?" I said, "No." That's the way it happened. Kathleen bought the place, excuse me. Kathleen bought it. Now, if you look around and see how nice this is and how beautiful, when we bought this place, you couldn't dream that this would look like this, because it was so dilapidated and run down. This old lady had a wheelchair, and she was banging all the furniture on the walls and the doors in there. But Kathleen knew she could do something with it, and we said, "Okay, we'll buy it." So everything you see, she did. Now, for instance, there's a big unit in this dining room. She designed that, had it made, and put it in there. And you're not going to see that too many places. You'll notice that big unit in there. And all the stuff goes around the walls and all of everything. She changed everything. And at that time, her father was retired, if I'm not correct. That's right. Her father was retired. And he was something else. Boy, he could fix anything. I can't even change the light bulb. But her father would, he used to take a jigsaw and end up making a horse and buggy or whatever. He could do anything. So they came out here, her mother came along. This is a riot. And they saw this place. Can you imagine what this looked? It was terrible. But we had a vision, and this is where we wanted to live. This is the area we wanted. We didn't want her to become president of this association by any means, but it just worked out that way. So Kathleen bought it, and we took possession of it, And her father and mother came over here every single day, like they had a job. I'm serious. They come over here and they change their clothes and put on their work clothes. And they went to work, and they worked till 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day. Now the reason they quit at 3 is because they lived south and they didn't want to get into that late traffic. But boy, every day they're here, and every day Kathleen's making lunch, you know, we're having a ball. Now, you see these little strippings around here, and you see this wallpaper, and all the painting, and all this. They did it all. Bathrooms, the whole thing. And you can tell it's professional looking, is it not? Well, they were very, very professional and very good. And they had a ball. They get here at 7 in the morning. They got their old clothes off. And they get lunch, eat lunch, take a half hour, and get out of there. So they worked on this baby. How long did that take? 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And of course, Kathleen did something little too. She picked out all the the wallpaper and everything else, and it's beautiful. So anyway, they love doing it. They came here every day for 6 weeks, and they didn't quit till they were finished. Now, when I say finished, everything you see here had been changed. And also Kathleen had some good ideas. That little wood up there, most people put it down here. She said, we're going to put it up here, and we're going to put some ducks around there. Well, you don't see that too often, it's a little different. So anyway, she did all this, and the beauty part of it was that we saved a hell of a lot of money. Well, you can imagine, her folks didn't take any money. In fact, you didn't give them any money for gasoline. So they had to come here themselves and pay for everything. They didn't want any money anyway, but they really enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. So that got done. So while we're here, we were here for quite a few years, and all of a sudden the building is starting to fall apart. Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe what was happening to this building. Okay, I'll go ahead. So anyway, that's when she decided to take over as president. Now, this is something people really don't know about, and you will. What happened was these 3 ladies that were on the board, they wanted to see a big bank account, So they didn't care about the roof falling in and everything. They wanted a big bank account in case of emergency. Well, hell, they had an emergency here. It was terrible. If you'd have seen this building, you wouldn't believe it. Now, everything you see when you walk in that front door downstairs, I mean everything you see, Kathleen did. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean the door that you put the key in, she had that replaced. That's a beautiful door, right? And she had the wallpaper all pulled off the hall and everything repainted. Got that? She put in new rugs throughout the building downstairs. She put a new roof on the place. And she did everything that was necessary and spent about $200,000 to put this building back in shape because it was a rundown piece of junk. Now, why did we move into this rundown piece of junk? Because we didn't know how bad the building was. We didn't know that. Now, you have to realize that Kathleen, when she parts with a penny, it's got to do double duty. Boy, she's tight. So how she got this building done and all this money spent and hardly had to charge these people any increase in their condo fees or anything else is a miracle. She used to get loans, take loans and pay them off. And her credit is great. Well, she can get a loan here any minute and any time. A wonderful credit here on this building. Now, she did all of that. Would you believe it? And don't you think that took 1,000 phone calls to get the plumber to change this and get the guy to come out and put the light fixtures in? Everything you see she did. Even the fans and the new lights in the halls. Everything. She did everything. Now, she's been sick about it because she can't stand to spend money. And she's trying to make it so these people don't have to spend a lot of money. So she's up all night figuring, how in the heck am I going to get this fixed? when I'm trying to keep the condo fee a certain rate, you know, and that's what bothers me about the whole thing. She's trying to do something that's impossible. You've got to raise the fees. You've got to get enough money to do the job. So she's squirming around, putting $1 here and taking one out of there. And she did all this. Now, there's a reputation in this area. I don't know if you know it or not. But any real estate person that comes in here to show this property always remarks the fine condition this building's in. And it is. Because no matter what happens, she fixes it. So she don't have any money. You're either going to have one or the other. So anyway, things that she's done. For instance, they have a insurance policy for the area of the building, which means the walls, you know, if God forbid it should burn down or something, you have insurance that replaces it. But in order to get insurance, you have to comply with what they say. The insurance company just doesn't hand you a policy carte blanche. You've got to comply with what they say you have to do. Now, she has always complied with all this stuff. And as a result, her finances are a little shaky, you know. So, for instance, a guy had a fire down on the first floor. You're familiar with that? You're not familiar? Good. I'll make you familiar. A guy had a fire on the first floor, and he died. Burned himself up. Yeah, he's smoking in bed. And he dropped a cigarette, bed caught on fire, and burned him up. Right? Okay, so that thing had to be redone. It was burned to a crisp. So you have to be careful, because right now, in America, insurance is hard to get. Because, first of all, everybody's suing everybody. Right? So the insurance company is a little cautious of what they turn out. So now it's very hard to get insurance. Now, Kathleen has had this one lady who has been very nice. She's an agent for a well-known insurance company. So she helps Kathleen, backs her up when possible, right? But when you have a loss, these large companies, they shake their head and they say, we don't need them. And they get rid of you. It's not very loyal, you know. Here you pay and pay and pay and pay and pay, and you have an accident with your car, and they rates you up, charge you more, right? You might have paid them 30 years and never had a claim. But if you get that one, they rate you up. That's the way insurance companies are. They're lousy. They're not very fair at all. All right, so to get on with the story, she doesn't want me to talk much, but I'm talking because he's got the machine on. Excuse me. So anyway, to get back to the story, this place was fixed up by Kathleen, which is an honor. And when people come here from various real estate offices, you wait and see, you talk to them and say, boy, this is one of the best kept buildings in the whole area. Now what does that do? It keeps the property value up. If you let it run down like a shack, you're not going to get nothing but whatever a shack will bring. This building is well maintained. It's got a good reputation in the whole area. We have people who sell real estate who own property in here, and they love it. You know, it's beautiful. I don't have to go and apologize. And that's what Kathleen has done. Now, I've got to get back to the other stuff. First of all, Kathleen has taken good care of me. And over a period of time, I have had pretty good health, which is amazing. You know, it's amazing. I haven't had anything bad until 1996, and the roof fell in. Now that's where Kathleen shines, because my medical history at that time would probably nullify all the good years. It was terrible. Terrible. So, for instance, I was working real hard. I love dentistry. I love my job. And I worked harder than I had to because I liked it. Boy, I'm out of here. What time? 6:30 in the morning? Whenever I got home, that was when it was. Now, one thing that we were proud of, Kathleen worked for me at one time before we got married. And she knew my temperament and what I was going to do here. And one thing that was unbelievable is we never, listen to this now, we never ever made any